Today we have Siddharth Chatterjee with us today. He's the Chief Diplomat at the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent. Many thanks for joining us. You just gave us a fantastic presentation on humanitarian diplomacy and sustainable development. Do you think you can maybe summarize what you were speaking about today?
Essentially what we are saying is that sustainable development is underpinned by risk reduction and resilience. And if we don't build resilience of communities, development can never be sustainable, because there will be constant shocks such as environmental shocks, climate shocks, shocks of disasters. And there are the entire kaleidoscope of natural disasters is out there, and the world is experiencing, as I mentioned earlier, increasing numbers of them. Therefore, it becomes even more important that we invest in disaster risk reduction, we invest in building of resilience of communities. Once you're able to do that, you're able to allow communities not only to survive disasters, but to thrive following a disaster rather than being left in a state of increased vulnerability.
Okay, fantastic. And so what is the Red Cross doing in order to try and create this kind of resilience within the communities?
Well, the Red Cross works in 187 countries all over the world, from the poorest to the richest. It's a juggernaut. It's an organization that really works at the community level. It is present in New York and it is present in Geneva, but it is much more present at the community level. And our volunteers who are working day in and day out in order to make those changes, in order to work with communities, in order to help them build resilience, in order to do social mobilization. So these are the key areas that the Red Cross Red Crescent is working in, primarily to reduce vulnerabilities and the theme of our strategy 2020, which is about saving lives and changing minds.
I noticed in your presentation you spoke about the private sector and how it's important to encourage them to be involved in matters of sustainable development. And how would you suggest we as the international community would go about doing that?
I think there is increasingly a global compact which is taking place with the private sector. Many private sector companies are actually coming on board because they see the importance of even, the development dividend can very easily be jeopardized after a natural disaster. And if people don't have jobs, if people don't have livelihoods, how do they access materials from the private sector? So it's pure economics that will shape this transformation. So therefore we are seeing increasing levels of engagement of the private sector in terms of helping to build and coming around in this global compact on risk reduction. What we need to see is much more of the private sector coming around the table and not just a few. And I think that will, I suppose, will increasingly happen.
And just one last question that we're asking to all of the speakers at the conference to try and gauge a sort of consensus. In your opinion, what do you think is the most sustainable, what is the most effective route to sustainable development?
For me, the bottom line is building resilience. That is about building sustainable development. Building resilience, investing in risk reduction, but all of it underpinned by an attention to youth and women that I explained in my last slide. And finally about making sure that there is human dignity at the end of it. I think all this becomes then, should I say, a vehicle that allows sustainable development to take place. And there is no sense of marginalization and inequality around it.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much, Siddharth Chatterjee. Thank you.